Hey guys, I'm back. I know it's been a few days since my last post. One of the pails drew through the wires on my generator, and since civilians aren't allowed out here by the organization, I had to wait 3 days for one of their electricians to get out here. The only reason I knew it was a pail that chewed through the main cable was because I watched it do it. But I forgot the part where that's the only source of power out here since the Chosen stole my backup. This is probably a good time to say that if you didn't read the first 2 installments of the series, you should, because I highly doubt any of this will make any sense. They aren't long and I will link them at the bottom of the post. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. I realized that I was stuck in the dark for the past 3 days reading books and hiking out of pure boredom that I hadn't told you all about the pails yet. They suck! But they're kind of funny once you figure them out. I've seen them on quite a few occasions on the property. The pails are white humanoids that crawl on the ground on all fours, usually dragging their belly using the same motion Spider-Man uses to climb walls. They can move at about a jogging pace, and their faces are usually stuck in a distorted expression of pain or anger. And boy, are they stupid as hell. Let me tell you about the first time I saw one. I had already been living here about 7 months, I think, so I was starting to become familiar with the shit that calls this place home. I was hiking out at some of my trails, kinda halfway looking for weird shit, halfway minding my own business. And suddenly, I can hear what sounds like a baseball player sliding through the leaves in the forest floor trying to reach home plate ahead of me. Only, the sliding didn't stop, and it was coming straight towards me. I prepare myself by taking out my trusty Bear Grylls survival knife, TM, and entering what I would describe as an aggressive stance. Felt pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. Expecting some creature to come barreling out of the bushes in front of me, I was a little shocked to see a butt-naked man with super pale skin drag itself out from the brush on its stomach. What is it with fucking naked dudes on my land? Can't I get a pretty woman for once? Anyways, after I got done being flabbergasted and became aware of my surroundings again, I became aware that this dude was almost on me and was reaching out for my leg. So I jumped on its back, and it worked like a fucking charm. This little bastard didn't have any superhuman strength like some of the other things out here. So when I landed on its back, it couldn't do anything but sit there and flop its legs and arms around like a fish. At this point, I'm on the verge of tears. It hears me laughing and tries to turn its head to spit on me, which it can't do. That actually made me start crying laughing. I fell off of it at this point, and the creature quickly turned around and locked its teeth into the toe of my left boot. I like to wear steel-toed boots around the property because, even though they're heavy, I know in a scuffle being able to kick with a boot and not having to worry about breaking a toe has a nice little advantage. This is what led me to realize that even though the creature didn't have super strength, it did have super bite force. When it first latched onto my boot, I wasn't worried and started trying to shake the thing off without much urgency. I already knew that it wasn't a man at this point because it didn't possess an asshole or any other genitals. But I got a little worried when I did notice the end of my boot starting to change shape as the steel in it started to bend. Then I said, out loud, "If you don't stop right now, I'm gonna stab you in the head, you little shit." It paused, as if debating on the decision. Then it slowly started biting down again, while its eyes looked up to me as if it was trying to call my bluff. I wasn't bluffing. A few seconds later, the thing is frantically crawling back into the forest with my favorite Bear Grylls survival knife, trademark, still in the back of its stupid fucking head. Nobody likes a thief. Got back home fine, but I had to replace my favorite knife and get a new pair of boots, so it was a pretty shitty hike. It was the next time that I saw one that I figured out what their biggest fear is. And it's so stupid. I was down in my creek playing with a new toy I had gotten in town earlier that week. It was a net that was designed to catch little minnows and shit, and it was a blast. I don't really have any use for minnows or whatever little fish I was catching because I can't go to the only pond on the property that had big fish in it since I made the deal with the crocodile man, so I was just catching them and letting them go. I'm suddenly greeted by the somewhat familiar sound of a grown man sliding across the ground on his belly. It had been almost 2 months since the last incident I had with a pail, but I immediately recognized the sound. This was the dunce that had stolen my knife! And I really valued that Bear Grylls survival knife trademark that can be purchased at your local Walmart. It really is a good product. Unfortunately, the pail that emerged this time wasn't the same one. It had a different face and was more of a light pink than the original white that was on the first pail. It was the same type of creature though. This time, things went down different. As it tore into the clearing that was about 30 feet from me, it froze with its eyes wide. As it had torn through the brush, I was already facing its direction, holding the net spread out to my side the same way a bullfighter holds a red cape since I was preparing to throw the net into the creek. The pail's eyes were switching between looking at the net and looking at me, so I looked at the net, then back to him. Then it clicked. No way. I giggled to myself as I started to catch on to what was happening. I took advantage of my suspicions and started running and flailing the net around at the pail, and it freaked the fuck out. It actually rolled over trying to turn too fast as it spun around and took off into the woods. I then started to wheeze laugh and fell onto the ground with tears running down my face. This fucking thing can bite through steel, but is terrified of a nylon net. Now, I know that might not be funny to some, but I have a twisted sense of humor, and it made my week. Long story short, I keep a little nylon net in my hiking bag every time I go out, and every pail I've come across is utterly mind-fucked at the sight of this. Good times, man. I wish all things were that easy to deal with. On another note, I got an email from the organization asking me about the keelet that the lady in the tree claimed that I killed in my last post. They wanted to know if I had disposed of the body and if they could come retrieve the remains from the woods if I had just left it. Then they said something that caught me off guard. When I said something about having to check with the program that put me in here, they responded with, "We are the parent organization of that program," and proceeded to give me my own address as well as details about my former life that only the program should have known about. In all seriousness, I have a dark past and haven't always been a great man, but I've done shit and it pissed me off that they would even bring it up. I responded with a simple, "Fine, but don't bring that shit up again," and I blocked the emailer. No one has shown up yet, so we'll see what happens. On a good note, I haven't seen Skinny in a couple weeks, so that's nice. See y'all next time. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments if you have any idea what the pails are, or what a keelet is. Please tell me. If any of you are good with the research stuff, I would appreciate it. Talk to y'all again soon.